youth movement that we've seen in the top alcohol ranks. What do you make of that? Like, what do you make of, what are the things that are contributing to the creation of, Megan and Rachel Meyer, who I believe have really become big personality. I mean, very well-known and established racers in our community. Yourself, you're part of that conversation. Julie Natas. I mean, Will Smith. The list goes on. There's a lot of people that seem to be making waves in top alcohol dragster. What do you make of that, and how has that come to be?
Yeah, it's really interesting. As you mentioned, obviously the Meyer sisters have really headlined the alcohol dragster class for the past few years, but there is just a general youth movement where I think it's become sort of a proving grounds for those that do have those aspirations to move on to the nitro ranks. And you've seen it happen with Krista Baldwin, Justin Ashley, Matt Sackman's got his license, Jordan Vandergriff, who, if you want to, I'm sure we can talk about another big name in the news today for some other reasons, which is wild.
Yeah,
we have to talk about that.
He's, I mean, clearly the second best looking guy in drag racing, and going to be on the Bachelorette, right?
Yeah, that's
wild. Is it confirmed, I mean, that he's going to be on there? Like what we saw is like
I couldn't figure out if it was actually confirmed or.
I think so. I saw the post that was shared, and it looked like it was from the official count. So
I mean, it's great for the sport and great for him as well. Must be some kind of.
Yeah, you aged out all right.
I'm getting some inside info from producer here, Dion Walraff. He's saying that he thinks that he's in like the pool.
That's what I thought.
People that they will choose from ultimately. So for those that don't know what the hell we're talking about. Basically, news broke here in like the last 2 hours, I think, that Jordan Vandergriff, who, as Corey has mentioned, made a run in A Fuel Dragster as well as Top Fuel Dragster, is apparently going to be on The Bachelorette. As someone who is seeking the hand of the woman who's the star of Bachelorette in 2022, I think it's a good thing. I mean, because for me, I really hope he makes it, because if he does, that's just a few times at least. Maybe he wins the whole deal, but it's a handful of times that they're going to show a highlight of a drag race on ABC. He's going to be talked about as a drag racer. That's a
they're
victory.
Show, they'll show clips of it and everything.
Absolutely.
It'll be a big deal. He was on
He's
the
a
phone.
stud, man.
We saw him at
fans
Gainesville.
forever just for being on the show.
Yeah, it will be a dragster. Which
he was in Gainesville. We saw him hanging out in one of the pits that we were in. He was just steady on the phone. So he must have had like ABC producers on the line or something, getting that deal locked up.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it takes. Can you imagine how many people are trying to get on any of those reality shows at any given time? I cannot imagine, to be honest. But I just do find it interesting because it doesn't seem like, to what you mentioned a minute ago, Corey, you got to make one qualifying pass in Gainesville. And I'm not trying to be negative, but I mean, it's not like there's a whole lot of allure specifically to top alcohol dragster. It's not like you guys are racing for the craziest amounts of money. It's not like you're racing. It's a class that's shown on Fox, but it still has a really strong pull. And I think you're right. It's becoming this proving ground or a place to get your feet wet, establish yourself, get comfortable in that routine. And obviously it's a great catapult into being successful in Top Fuel or Funny Car. Do you think, is that some part of your aspirations? Just curious, because one of the observations that I always had with the Meyer sisters, and shout out to Randy Meyer, because I think he's really becoming something of a racer builder or something. Like he's taking people and molding them into very capable race car drivers. And it's a cool thing because I know he's had his hands on some people that don't have a lot of racing experience, that didn't come up, bracket racing every weekend or driving hot rod cars, and he's still managed to turn them into formidable drag racers. Do you think that, do you have aspirations of moving up into Top Fuel? Because I always was surprised that the Meyer sisters, I almost lost my train of thought, sorry. They have seemingly no desire to move into Top Fuel. They were completely comfortable where they were, and she was able, Megan Meyer was able to secure sponsorship deals, get on the cover of Drag Illustrated magazine, really make a splash, has a strong social media following, and do it all while racing in A Fuel because she was finding sponsorship partners that didn't really care where she races. So, how do you interpret all of that?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where each person has kind of their own set of priorities. So I did get my, and I still hold it, my Top Fuel license back in 2018. With that said, ever since we we're able to kind of push further with our own operation, there's a different level of gratification being able to kind of pull through the gates with your own rig and have your guys there. Man, the barrier for entry in the fuel classes from the professional ranks is I mean, it's scary. The level of competition right there, it is incredible to watch from as a fan perspective. But I can only imagine what it feels like for some of those guys that are just working night in and night out, and it's just like, holy crap, what do I got to do? I got to find another 10th now when I finally found a way to run 70s, and these guys are running low or mid 60s. With that said, though, I think from the A fuel perspective, it's such a great stepping stone. I mean, outside of warming the car up on alcohol before you put it on the high side, the driving procedure is the exact same. So it's a really good way to get your feet wet. These are really fast race cars too. I don't think that they obviously going to advocate for my own class, but I don't think they get the respect that they deserve. I remember back in the day where I got my start actually was a alcohol funny car pit crew member back when me and Mike were living the glory days in the IHRA, and that was a professional class over there, and people marveled at the alcohol cars over there. Not as much notoriety in the NHRA side of things, but man, I really do think that they can prepare you well if that's something you're interested in. And to your point, Wes, about the Randy Meyer side of things, just done an amazing job of providing an opportunity for so many different drivers to come in and see what it's like to drive a really fast race car. But it's also opened, I think, up the opportunity where there's a lot of other teams that have followed that sort of mentality where you've got, look at the Phillips guys now. Rich has stepped out of the seat, and they've got a rotating crew of drivers that all have great opportunities to win every time they show up. The Samsels have started to rent their car out, and that thing just keeps getting faster and faster. The level of competition right now is just like at an all-time high. So yeah, it'd be awesome someday to compete at the highest level of sport, but at the same time, having a pretty good time with what's going on in the current spot that we're at as well.